Monsieur Charrier.
Monsieur. I love it. It sounds almost rude. Monsieur Malquin.
Monsieur. It's like M-I-S or M-O-S?
M-O. Oh, yeah, M-O, but we pronounce M. It's not M and E, it's M and O, but we pronounce it M. Monsieur.
Monsieur. It's another one of those words that's difficult. Anyway.
You're learning words by words.
Slowly but surely, man. How are you?
Doing good, and you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for today.
Yeah, me too. I cannot believe that
excited.
George Clooney is coming.
That's it. Yeah.
Don't you think he looks like him?
I do, man. Yeah, a little bit. He's got the Danny Ocean vibe from like Ocean's 11.
That's a good movie.
But yeah, bro. Our guest today, Connor Shafran. We actually did the Griozzi Festival this summer, man. So I got to see it live, and
wow,
it's very cool.
I've only seen videos, online.
Yeah, the loops, the lights, it's cool, man. It's very cool. So I'm excited to talk with him and get to know him a bit more. You know his stuff, like the videos.
Yeah. I've watched some videos. I think I discovered him during the chop things you were doing online. Yeah, it's nice. So fresh. It's very complicated, but he makes it look like simple and.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm excited to bring him on. Connor Shafran on the Handpan Show.
Let's do this.
Mr. Charrier, here we are.
Mr. Mulquin.
Man, our guest today. This is like an image of like what happens when like AI integrates with human beings and put music in front of them.
Exactly.
No, he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
I'm sure he's a bit half AI, half human.
Yeah, I think that's it. But Connor Shafran is our guest today. Some releases that you absolutely need to see on YouTube. Sorry in advance if I get these names wrong. Ava, Wham, Oval Owl, Set Away, and probably my favorite one is Soon the Air Will Be Too Thin. This guy's crazy. These things are awesome. If you don't like videos, that's fine too. He's got stuff on Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere else you could stream stuff. His album, EP rather, from 2022 is called For the Time Being. He's also got a song on the second Future Rust compilation called Not So Distant. And he's working on new music as we speak. Literally, he just showed us something new. We're talking to him now, the Handpan Silver Fox, live from Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Connor Shafran.
Yes.
Woo!
Welcome
brother. To the show, pal.
Oh, thanks for having me. Silver Fox. Damn.
I didn't know if I should say it, but then I remember you making jokes about it at Griozzi, so I had to pull one out. But how are you, man?
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having me on. This is quite an honor. I've been listening to some of the first episodes, and it's cool to have a handpan podcast now. So good job to you guys for getting this going, and I've been enjoying it. Learned some interesting facts about some of my favorite handpan players, which is always fun. Listening to Mano de Lago's speed round questions at the end was great. That was thanks for putting that together.
Of course, man. But we're going to jump into the looping, the lighting, all of the genius that is Connor Shafran. But, first things first, I mean, anyone who listens to your stuff, it is super innovative. It's, the next level of looping and all this. But you do have a strong, like, music background. I mean, the time signatures you play in are rarely 4/4, the layering and stuff. So what your musical background before all this, where are you coming from?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I started on piano, like a lot of kids. I didn't want to play piano, but my parents made me. And the second that I got to middle school band, where you got to pick an instrument, I remember everyone went around, like they took a trumpet around and had everyone play it, and I was the only kid who couldn't get it to make any noise at all. So I was pretty dejected at first, and then they were like, oh, but you can play the drums, like, that's where they put all the idiots who can't do anything else. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. Yeah, definitely. Let's do the drums. And so I did percussion through middle school, and that turned into percussion in high school, and did a lot of marching band, a lot of marching percussion indoor. marched Rhythm X indoor percussion. If anyone out there knows that, probably only Mark D'Ambrosio, because he's like the only other person in the handpan scene who knows marching percussion. So shout out to Mark if you're listening.
What is it? Marching X? What is this?
Rhythm X. It's like an indoor, sort of like marching band, but inside, only for
drums. Is that like the
drums.
competition one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I marched that in 2013, and then went on to study percussion in university. So I did a bachelor's in percussion, mainly doing orchestral percussion, mallet percussion, marimba, stuff like that. Had a very classical training, doing some contemporary stuff, but a lot of timpani, like orchestra stuff.
Nice.
And then I totally burnt out on music after that. So I kind of quit with the whole orchestral percussion thing for a while. Yeah,
because
but
you
that's kind
found
of the
okay. So you said burnout, like you went out of percussion and you did something else.
Yeah. I got out of my undergrad and I was, totally overwhelmed with music. It was just it felt like all of the love and passion I had for it had been sucked out by the classical music world. It's It's not everybody's experience, and it definitely could have not been my experience. I think it was mostly specific factors in my life at the time that were playing that role, but I had no desire to go audition for orchestras after, or no desire to continue studying a master's in percussion. But I was messing around with some electronics, audio stuff. I started working, doing live sound at a concert hall, and luckily I had some really incredible mentors there who really kind of trained me in audio technology. And I don't know how much you want to go into it, the entire life story here. But
you had you had a break from this classical background. You did some electronic, and then how and when did the handpan come into your life?
So the handpan, I had already gotten a handpan in 2014. I think I got my first handpan from Kyle Cox from Pantheon Steel. I was just really lucky. I met Kyle in real life at a percussion conference, actually, like a collegiate percussion conference. He was there at a booth doing lino tune stuff, showing off lino tune. And I'm going up to him like, oh my God, you're Kyle Cox. You make the handpan. Oh my God. I just seen them on YouTube and I was just totally obsessed. I was just watching Kukerman, Nadi Shana, just on repeat, just all the time. All those early videos of them playing together.
What year was this
Mets.
that you with?
I think
Kyle?
I found it in 2011 or 12, right around when those videos were being posted. I first saw Daniel Waples, of course. Online. But it's definitely a YouTube thing for me. I think I first saw Daniel Waples with the tunnel video, with the Cascade shakers, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna need some of those now. So
exactly.
Bought some of those, and it was just I'm really easy. I get I just get obsessed with things very easily. I'll see something and I'm like, yeah, I want to do that now, and I just that's tunnel vision. I just will do that, and so. But I was just obsessed with the handpan, and I did the typical how do you get one Google search, and you can't. Okay, great. Yeah. So I found some guides to build your own tank drum, the original I forget his name, but he put those designs up of the propane tank drum.
Dennis Havlina.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, oh, what a saint! Because I found those, and I grabbed some empty propane tanks and went out in the garage with some metal saws and just made myself a propane tank drum. Because I needed one. I was like, I cannot not have one of these instruments. Yeah. And it was the closest I could get. But anyway, so skipping forward a little bit, I was in college and I ran into Kyle Cox in real life. I was there with Aaron Marsala as well. I don't know if Danny, we talked about this. Aaron Marsala. I was studying in college with him, another amazing handpan player. And I think in many ways I can credit him with really being when you're into something at the same time as someone else and your energy feeds off of each other. It was very contagious being around him because he was also super into the handpan. I didn't feel so crazy for being obsessed with it. So he and I were there just at Kyle Cox's feet, little fanboys, just oh my God, we had never, neither of us had played a handpan.
Yeah. And that's super rare, man, for that early, for like 2013 or so, 2012, to have somebody like
close by.
Along, like no one knew it that like by that time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy. What kind of luck that was. And we both, like, it wasn't like we had, learned about it at the same time. It was like we both came from separate walks of life and both knew about it and were both obsessed with it. Yeah. Just super, super rare. And but we groveled at Kyle's feet, and he let us take a handpan out in the hallway. It's like it's like these like hotel conferences, and so we take it out into a quiet hallway, and we just played all day, like just the whole day through. We skipped every event we were supposed to go to, and we just played handpan all day. And after like 3 days of that, Kyle was eventually like, "All right, you guys are like the most obsessed people I've ever met. If you want to buy one, like, be my guest." And
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the sweetest thing. Totally changed my life. So yeah, that was the handpan introduction.
That's awesome, man. And you mentioned a few times you went to school for music, and I know that you just finished your master's thesis. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What was that whole process like? What was the master's in?
So I just finished a master's degree at the Conservatory in Berlin for electro-acoustic music, which is kind of more of a composition degree, but focused on music that you make with, electro-acoustic methods, synthesizers, microphones, sort of mangling of live audio, which is a lot of the stuff I'm doing in the popular music scene. But it's more of a kind of a contemporary approach.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we can see that in your playing.
Yeah, for sure, man. But I'm curious to hear your take on this, and because people have, it seems anyway that it's like one way or the other when people go through music education and higher music education, especially as somebody who makes like such modern music and you're doing everything yourself. If you had to go back and do it again, would you go music as your, education as well as career? Would you do something different?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would do the same thing over again. It totally killed me at the time. Like I like I said, I totally burnt out and went and kind of did other stuff for about 5 years. But I don't know. Like I'm kind of one of those people. I just don't see a point in asking like, well, what if I'd done it differently? Like it is what happened. Yeah. And I can credit so many things that like skill sets that I have right now that are advantageous to me in doing what I do now that are only possible because I sat there and worked really hard and, learning sheet music and I think that the discipline that you have to put in to study music in school is, it really like changes the way you think about getting stuff done when you leave school and there's no one there to tell you to do stuff anymore. Yeah. Then you got to just like self-motivate. You just got to do the stuff. And if you don't do the stuff, no one's going to make you do it. And then it's just not going to happen. So I'm really thankful I kind of built like good work habits, good practicing habits, and like kind of, that stuff is just super, super valuable. And I had a really like, the professor I studied under in undergrad, he was like a no bullshit kind of guy, like a real no bullshit kind of guy. He would call you out like if you were bullshitting him. Wait, can I swear? I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like he can see straight into your soul and know that you're bullshitting. And when you're studying with someone like that, I mean, you build good character, you build a good work ethic, and you learn how to apply yourself. And I really appreciate that. Yeah. So that's nice. I do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, so we learned about your early days in college and stuff, and all those hard times you went through. Let's dive a bit into looping. We are so interested. We are so curious. Can you walk us through your setup if we have like 4 hours in front of us? Now, come on. Maybe try to explain to our audience. Some people, they don't even know the word Ableton or looping even. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the handpan and all those machines and cables and buttons that are surrounding you? We're so interested about it.
I can try and do like the elevator pitch, the short version of it. So at the center of everything, there is a computer, and on the computer, I'm running a software called Ableton Live, and this is a software that allows you to record loops and play them back, and also put effects on the audio, either on the loops that are playing or on live audio. And these effects might be things like reverb or delays, or these typical things. Or you can pitch the sound up an octave or down an octave, or fourth or a fifth or something different. And over the last few years, I've been developing a kind of a method of working with nothing but live audio to build what kind of sounds like a studio track, like something you would play with backing tracks. I'm just really interested in the idea of going on stage and having no pre-recorded music. There's nothing that comes on stage with me that I recorded in any other location, so that every time I play, I'm building the whole concert up from silence. And that for me makes it, it's thrilling for me. Like it's gives me an adrenaline rush that I need to be really focused. And I surround myself with synthesizers and percussion instruments and microphones and handpans, like the Meridian handpans with the pickups on them, so that I can just get the direct feed from the handpan, and all that. Like I use looping, I use all sorts of effects, and build up sort of structured pieces. In contrast to what people often do with live looping, where they just sort of stack loops on top of each other and then improv with that. For me, that was always a little bit too slow. Like it just takes a long time to build up all the loops. To have all the layers, And it also, if you're not careful, every song can start sounding the same, because it's like, okay, you start with one thing, and then you have two things, and then you have three things, and then you have four things, and then you take them all away, and you leave one thing, and then you do it again, and it's just sort of like pyramids of audio stacking, and that can be super cool for a couple tracks, but then like if you're trying to do like 70 minutes of show, where everyone's just like looking at you for 70 minutes and you want to entertain them, and you're not doing vocals, I think it's really hard to make that work, and so I had to think of a different way.
Nice. And like more specifically, I saw you did a few videos on the Bink looper from Bink Beats. So so this kind of thing is like, I guess, we don't want to go to too deep in murky waters, but essentially that sets up like basically like a choreography, right? Like you pre-script where the loops start and end, and what effects goes to which part of the song. Can you talk a little bit more about like what do you call it? Like stage loop? What do you have a term for it? It's like
scripted looping is what I call it.
There you go.
I don't know if it's like I can't. It's kind of embarrassing. I can't remember if I actually coined that term or not. I don't know where else it came from, but I don't remember. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I've been calling it scripted looping for a few years, and that you basically hit the nail on the head. It's I pre-plan the structure of the song, when certain things will start recording and when those recordings will start to play back, and and I used to use the Bink looper, like you were saying. This is like a plugin designed by this guy named Bink Beats. That's his artist name. And he was one of the pioneers of this technique. And I saw some of his videos, and I had this like, sort of like the handpan. I think honestly, like there's two events in my life that were so radically changing. It was seeing the handpan on YouTube and seeing Bink Beats on YouTube. And both of these moments were like light switch, like, oh, yep, all right, I guess that's going to be my life now. And so I saw that he released this plugin that lets you do it, but after maybe 6 months, 8 months of working with that, I had to find a new way of doing it. I think it was a little bit too glitchy, a little bit too unreliable to take on stage, and took way too long to program. And these days I'm using a different technique, but if anyone's interested and wants to just go look it up, it's called CliffX, CliffX Pro, and it's like a Python script that you sort of like, it lets you hack into Ableton and write code into Ableton to program things.
Dave, you got that Python script? So
exactly. You are such a nerd.
I'm a fucking nerd. I know, but I'm having fun.
And you can hack and insert a code, and there's a plugin, but the guy is hidden in somewhere, and he made that. And
it's actually so much easier than I made it sound. Like it's really accessible. I think that people will surprise themselves if you apply yourself a little bit and look into CliffX. It's not like C++ or anything crazy. It's like
you're not making an
it's
app or
much
anything.
easier. Yeah.
But with this, the scripted looping and your live show, like, is there a lot of room for improvisation, or is it kind of scripted choreography almost at that point where you have to do everything right as it lies, or the track will kind of fall apart?
That's kind of up to me, and I think it's like you're saying, there's a spectrum between total improvisation and total choreography. Like, you're doing this exactly the same way every time, and I'd say I'm like sitting about 80% of the way to choreography. Like, it's I really do plan out the show pretty meticulously, and most of the show is me doing like exactly what I practiced over and over again. Yep. Every time I play it a little bit differently, of course, but it's more or less the same structure.
Yeah.
And
also,
as
you have
these windows,
pre-mapping things, as things are scripted, you need, like, if you decided this effect to start in 8 bars, you need to have done 8 bars before, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't just sort of decide how long I want to play a thing, or
exactly.
It's like I'm walking up, like, at any moment of the show, I might be walking up to an instrument, and I know the mic is about to turn on and record for 4 bars, and for that exact moment, I need to be playing that instrument, and if I miss a bar, then it will record a bar of silence.
If you fall on the stage because of one of your cable...
I've thought about that.
You cannot come back and everything, and then it's gone.
Yeah. That's one of those like things I think about when I'm lying in bed at night, like worrying about what could go wrong. It's like, oh yeah, tripping on a cable, and then getting to an instrument late, and it's There's no undo button. There's no like back button. I can't jump back 4 measures. I would have to start the song over or just power through it.
So you have a lot of different challenges on stage because of all those, for sure, these technical issues and stuff that could happen. So and also you play with a lot of odd meters, like non-traditional structure also. How hard it is? Why don't you do 4/4? Make your life easy. Nah, I'm kidding.
I do sometimes. I do some 4/4. Yeah, like I think like the show that I've been touring this summer has a lot of 4/4 in it, actually. I think there's a couple songs that are weird time signatures. I think the last track, I'm going to get this wrong, I'm going to mess it up, but I think, so I just basically started off with a bunch of polyrhythms stacked on top of each other. I think I start with 5, and then I layer on 7, and then 4, and then 9, and then 6, and they're all going on top of each other. And I love the way those rhythms just kind of communicate with each other and build this thing where you could let those patterns play out for like an hour, and you'd maybe get a point where they all repeat at the same point again, when you have that much complexity. So I'm such a nerd. I love that stuff. I love the way the rhythms talk to each other. But I also love 4/4. Don't get me wrong. I love a good, 4 on the floor kick drum, nice and groovy. So yeah.
Yeah, it was just to make a bit of fun. How do you say that, Dan? To make a bit fun about it, because your life is hard already, looping and
like all the
scripting
stuff.
everything and all these gears, and in addition of that, the guy is doing some odd meters and stuff.
It's like, man, simplify one part at least. It's super cool.
Never.
But one part I think is really cool about your stuff is, I mean, you have the loops. We're gonna get into some of the lighting, tricks and all that stuff, but handpan still is at kind of the forefront of all of your music. And I'm just curious, like, in your world when you're composing all of this stuff, like, how important is that to highlight the instrument versus just use it in some of the song?
Oh, that's a good question, and it's such an evolving answer that keeps changing. I think, if you take any 6-month window of my life for the last 3 years and ask me that question, the answer would have been different every single time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know. I treat the handpan like almost out of a philosophical mindset. I treat it like just an instrument. I have a very like non-holy approach to this thing. I see
Welcome on board.
It's
You're
a piece
well
of steel.
surrounded.
It's like I don't have this sort of worship of it. I think it's a really interesting sound. It's a really interesting instrument.
It sounds good, and like some other instruments.
Right. It's
cool.
It's one among many things.
Yeah.
It's a cool
I like
instrument. Yeah.
Oh, guys, sorry,
I mean,
but that anecdote is so many people, they come to me and try to get out of me some spiritual stuff about this instrument. But don't you think it's and I'm like, nah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it sounds great. I like it.
Yep. Yeah.
I also like
it's pretty
cello
cool.
and guitar. No, it's pretty cool. Honestly, I like it. Yeah, but that's it. Sounds good.
That's it, man.
Cool.
That's it. That's the whole story about the hand. No, I mean, like it's
That's the whole story.
I don't know, man. Like I have days where I'll be honest, I wake up and I'm just like, I don't want to look at a handpan. I don't want to hit one. I don't want to have one near me. I don't want to do anything with handpans today. And I have other days where I'm just like, it's just sitting on my lap and I just get lost for 30 minutes because I'm just like that first moment of playing the handpan all over again. Even though it's been 10 years, I have these moments where I just, it sucks me in and it's so entrancing. But
yeah, true. Depends on the instrument, also the scale, the mood, and sometimes a new instrument brings you back to these good moments.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess on that too, man. You did one of the handpan chop shops a few years ago, and I mean, you do play really well. Like you have chops, you have skills and stuff like that. Like how did you practice all of the looping and all the other crazy stuff versus just handpan solo practice? Do you have like a practice regimen, or are you just kind of
don't kids don't listen. Kids, close your ears for the next 5 minutes or so. Yeah, if you're learning the handpan, go listen to Mano de Lago's podcast episode instead, because he's a better example. But like, I don't practice. I practice a lot when I was in my undergrad. I have a certain kind of base level of chops that are probably not going to go away. I practice before shows, like as I'm preparing the show, I'll practice that show. And if there are things that I want to learn that I have in my head that I can't do yet with my hands, I'll learn how to do them. I'll practice those rhythms. And sometimes it's like I have something in my head that I can't do with my hands. And so I practice around the rhythm. I don't practice just that rhythm because I need to be able to not have my brain turn off if I mess up on stage. I need to be able to improvise. If I'm not playing the exact part right, I need my hands to keep working. And so to do that, I need to practice around the rhythm. I need to practice rhythms that are like it, and practice rhythms that like kind of the inverse rhythm of that, or learn how to play and improvise around that idea. So I'll practice that and hope in the end that I play the part right. But I don't want to be in a moment where I'm sitting there trying to play this loop and it's recording and it's like it's really going to take this loop and then there's no going back, and I mess up a note and then panic and start playing some random crap. I need to be able to think quickly on my feet, and to that I do need to practice, for that. But
hey guys,
I don't sit around and practice every day. No.
I remember this chop thing. So that's how I discovered you. Actually, I was also in this chop, and when I watched the entire thing, I was like, so everyone is doing like, we start straight away with the handpan. So next guy, handpan, and then it goes to this guy. And I say, okay, why not? Yeah. And then I was like, what? And I was so how to say, like, so émerveillé, we say in French. Blown away. I was like, what is he doing?
I like
everyone was playing, and then
great.
I remember watching like when I opened his file and I saw this, I saw it without the audio first, and I saw this motion for like when he's like turning some knob down. And I was like, I need to look, because I had it on my phone. I was like, I need to listen to this properly. And like you said, and I was like, damn, dude, like, where did this come from?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So good.
Thanks.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that. Thanks for doing that, Dan. That was
of course, man.
That was one of the first times I felt like the handpan world reached out their hand and was like, hey, like come hang out with us. And I was like, okay, like I'll do something. And I just wanted to, I don't know, do something weird. So
I appreciate it, man. I don't know, but I've never heard the analogy of the handpan world reaching its hand out. I just thought it was a pretty. Look at you. You're the one getting spiritual now. Look at that. Everyone's reaching out and caressing me.
the internet's just like a hand comes from the sky and
wow.
No,
I want to bring that back though, man. That was a fun series.
Please do. That was very cool.
Do a round two.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was like during COVID, wasn't that? Was like
Yeah.
And that one, specifically the one that you did, was for the HCU. Like it was one of the first round of the. It was supposed to, drive some attention to all the crowdfunding and all that stuff. So,
bro, you said like your mind changes. Like maybe sometimes you will be focused on something and then something totally different. Is there any plans maybe to shift to some fully acoustic handpan music, or is it something boring for you? Or
I'm gonna break your heart now. I'm actually like I've got in the works right now to do something without handpans in the coming
you
6
won't break
months
my
or
heart.
So. Yeah. No, I need to get away from them for a little bit, to be honest. I think that's just healthy.
Toxic
like you got
relationship.
It is a little bit sometimes. I mean, I think like I don't want to be disparaging, and I don't want to say I don't know. Like, I think anyone who plays the handpan all the time and is doing stuff with like electronics and handpan, I mean, the handpan is just such it's such a specific sound. And I find myself just out of a nature of like being kind of a rebellious person, always wanting to try and just, if there's a rule, I'm going to try and break it. And like when I hear the handpan, sometimes my first instinct is just to mangle up the sound and take this beautiful thing and just destroy it. Like I want to just rip it apart and put it through a distortion and bit crushers. And I feel like I've really exhausted a lot of things that you can do with the handpan in live context. And I think for my like artistic health, I need to put them away for a little bit. And I've got a project planned this winter that's gonna kind of just be like live improvised techno music, kind of like more like techno club kind of oriented. Something where there's no preparation, there's no, it's all improvised, so I don't have to spend all the time rehearsing one thing. It's like the complete opposite of what I do now,
If you want to put them away, get married, have some kids. That's what happened to me. But I feel you. Sometimes we have we need sometimes to stop doing something and maybe to come back better. And also, solo performances are super nice, but for sure we can see its limits. And there's so much to explore through electronics and stuff. So I'm so happy to see all of you guys, and also Dan and many others. It's so cool because that didn't exist before.
I guess before you abandon the handpan completely, just this question about like all the stuff that people have already seen, like the music that you have out. I mean, it seems at least to, people who are not into the, what is it, Sci-Fi? What is the program? Sci-Fex?
Oh, CliffX, yeah.
CliffX. It seems ultra complicated and there's millions of things happening, but like what is the process for you to compose stuff? Does everything start on handpan first up till now, or how does that usually work?
Oh, that's another good question. Also changing all the time. For the show that I toured this summer, I'd say it's about 50-50. Some ideas started on handpan and some ideas started with electronics or with a groove. For me, the process is I record. I essentially treat it like it's a studio track. Like I'm sitting there in my room. I build my setup here in this room here. So it's like I pretend it's the stage. I build everything as it will be on the stage. And I sort of start with the setup, actually. That's actually maybe a good answer because like that's the thing that's pretty constant. I always start with a setup. I don't write the songs and then build a setup to be able to perform it. I always start with a structure, a physical structure, because I like what happens when I'm limited by the physical structure. I like how it forces me to, do new things with the music. Just by simply putting one synthesizer here and then the handpan over here, it adds like a limitation that creates something, So I start with the setup, and then I record stuff as if it's a studio track. So I just produce a song, and the whole time I'm sort of imagining, okay, I have to be able to do this live, so I don't write things where 3 new instruments come in at the same time if I can't play them all at the same time, So it's about thinking about that live structure and at the same time sort of composing this track. And then once the track is done, I I go through the motions while the track is playing in the background. So I've just got the audio playing. It's like all demo audio basically. And I'm going around like karaoke style in my room, like just sort of air playing the things, making sure that there's enough time to get between the instruments and like not, you know, be in a rush.
I would
to
see the
put
video.
the
I would
down.
love to see that video of you.
So yeah, sometimes I actually do film that, so I can see if it looks like hectic, you know, in a bad way. Like I want to see from the audience perspective, does this look like I'm about to forget something, or does it look like I am, you know, leading the performance?
Yeah.
And then once it's ready, once I'm like, yeah, I like this, then I go and I code all the looping stuff so that it happens with that structure.
And
then I delete all the audio.
How long does it usually take to write, structure everything, and learn also to perform it from the song?
It depends on the song. I think some songs are really easy and some are really hard, and it's not always obvious, like just from looking at it. But for the show from this past summer, I took about 4 weeks to prepare the show. So starting from
would you say you were a slow composer, or what would you say?
Very. I will work on a song forever until I have to stop, and it's really unhealthy. Dan and I were talking a little bit about this curiosity. Yeah.
But speaking of that curiosity, first of all, I thank you. It was a very nice shout out you gave me on stage. That was very kind of you to do. But something at that festival that everyone seemed to talk about, and it's kind of the next level, I think, for you, is the lighting component to all your live sets. I mean, everyone that came away from your stage was like, "How cool was that?" Like, he had light bulbs that went like. So what is the lighting component? How did that kind of come into the picture for you?
So with the lights, I don't see it so much as being anything different than the sound or the setup. I think it's all one thing to me. When I go on stage, it's I've always just sort of thought of it as an experience. Like, I want to take people's attention and guide it through time and space for about 70 minutes. You know, I want to tell a story in some way, and I don't sing. I can't sing, and no one would want to hear me sing. And so there's a limitation on how I can storytell. And I find that with instrumental music, people usually, unless they're instrumental musicians themselves, have a much harder time connecting with just sound. And so for me, it's just about the full experience. I want to build a setup that's visually interesting, that has some sort of interesting design to it, that feels in some way like it builds tension on its own. You know, there has to be some tension in the setup. So I specifically have the handpans lower than the tables so that I can kind of create these two different spaces. So I have to go and sit down to play the handpans, and I have to stand up to go play the synthesizers. And that's like a very conscious decision. Yeah. And then the lights just come in like, well, the sounds, you know, need to have some sort of visual representation. So a lot of the times the light bulbs are flashing when sounds, they correspond with the sounds. And it was just, it's actually a lot easier than people think it is. Like, you just need a little USB DMX adapter and some time. And I got some old light bulbs and some dimmer packs and just started experimenting with them. And I really liked that they aren't RGB lights. Because I started doing this stuff with RGB lights where you can choose any color anytime. And it's just totally overwhelming, the amount of possibility. Mm-hmm. And I always just spent way too much time thinking, oh, is this song red or is this song blue? And and it's going to be different to everybody. So in some way, it's very, if I'm deciding that this song is red for everybody, I think I'm doing them a disservice. Yeah. So I just like the idea of working with just light bulbs, just warm white light bulbs. And I don't know, there's just a bunch of rambling thoughts about it, but I just see it as an extension of the sound. It has to be there. I can't not do it.
Well thought. Yeah, excellent. Bro, right before I was talking with Dan, I was like, I'm sure this guy already put the fire in his house because of all his gears and cables and trials and experimentations. Have you ever burned your house?
No, I haven't. Luckily, I've blown the fuse a few times. I've definitely done that.
Yeah.
You plug it in and you hear the pop and then the smell and that's. I have a computer that's not like it's like a actual desktop computer. You know, it's plugged into the wall. So when I do that, it turns off, which really sucks.
Yeah.
You need to have a strong one, right? What is your computer?
I use a Mac Mini.
Mac Mini, solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it's such a cool element to introduce to the live set. You know, to have the lighting component, and I know you say it's not all that extra. You know, it's not all that crazy extra work, but it really adds a lot to the performance. But for you, how much extra stress does that add? Like to have to worry about the lighting and the timing, and you know.
I don't know. It's giving me a lot of gray hairs. Like it's it's not just the lights. It's the whole thing. I mean, Dan, you saw like all the gear I had with me. It's brutal. I don't have the money or resources to hire people to help me out with this. I don't have like a road crew, and I don't even have a car. Pretty committed to traveling by train out of environmental reasons. So I'm really putting myself in a lot of hard situations trying to do this, and I'm looking always for ways to reduce the amount of gear I have to bring with me, including lights. So for the show, I actually took all these light bulbs and I wrapped them up in socks and put them inside the handpan to travel with, and like stuffed it with a bunch of bubble wrap and everything so they weren't shaking around. But it's definitely one of the sketchiest things I've ever done. Like putting a bunch of like 9 light bulbs inside of a handpan it's a little bit ridiculous.
The Handpan Show is brought to you by Master the Handpan, the world's largest online handpan educational platform. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced player, or want to learn from one of your favorite players, Master the Handpan has everything you need to improve your skills and have fun. Feeling lost while searching for your first handpan? Master the Handpan has you covered with our one-stop marketplace, connecting you with reputable makers to find your perfect instrument. Join our thriving community of over 15,000 handpan players and share your passion with like-minded handpan enthusiasts. Master the Handpan. Learn fast, have fun.
All right, bro. You said that you've watched the show before. You know this little segment we do, the rapid-fire questions. If you would like to play along, that would be great. Good?
Yeah. Let's
Solid.
do it.
All right, Dave, you have the questions open in front of
Yeah, I
you?
have them.
All right, sweet. All right, so the first one, what was the first album you've ever owned?
Well, I should have prepared. I knew these questions from the other ones, but I totally forgot to prepare. I think probably American Idiot by Green Day. Like 2004, 2005 maybe. I was born in 95, so it's like I was like 10 or so. So my dad played it in the car once, and I was like, he said, "Make sure your mom doesn't know that I'm showing you this." And I was hooked, of course, because, you know, it's like forbidden. So it's like, oh yeah, this is super cool.
Nice.
But American Idiot.
Nice. What is your dream collaboration in the world? Not just.
Oof. I think it's hard to pick just one, but probably Niels Fromm or Floating Points. But I don't know if I could collaborate with them. I think I just need to let them do their thing and watch from in admiration from a distance. I don't think I'd enjoy the process. I'd be too nervous the whole time.
Who is one artist that you love that people would be surprised to know?
Death Cab for Cutie. Death Cab for Cutie. Love this. It's Ben Gibbard, singer. I like the early stuff. Transatlanticism. That album maybe also is one of the earliest albums I ever owned. I don't know. I like it.
Nice.
Guilty pleasure.
What is your most embarrassing moment on stage?
When I was in college, I had just got my handpan and I wanted to do something with like electronics and handpan on stage, and I convinced like a local bar downtown to let me do like just a little concert. And I had seen some other groups that I liked play there, and it was always full. And so I thought that place is packed all the time and that I would get to like go play in front of this crowd. And I didn't really realize you have to like bring a crowd with you. And I show up and it's just like nobody there. You know, I like invited some people, but there was like maybe 10 people there who my friends, so I invited.
Awkward.
And so it was a super empty place, and I totally bombed. It was really bad. yeah, my girlfriend at the time was playing cello, and she was going to do some improv cello on stage with me. And we just looked at each other the whole time like, oh my God, please let this be over. Like, we got to get off the stage right now. This is like, it was rough. Even in front of just my friends, like, it was painful. I walked out, we sat in the car and we just sat in silence for like 10 minutes. Like, oh my God. Like, I can't believe that just happened. That's so embarrassing. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't play there again.
I
didn't even ask. Like, I knew the answer.
What is your most memorable moment on tour?
Oh, memorable moment. Oh, I think it's got to be the Griozdi storm. Like, what was that, like a month ago? That was crazy, man. That whole leading up to that show, and then just kept looking at the weather, going, okay, is this gonna get like, is there a storm incoming? It's not like just gonna rain. It's like forecasting some crazy wind, and I'm sitting there building up my setup on the stage. Like, should I be tearing it down right now? Like, what's gonna happen after it had already been rained out the day before?
Oh no.
And then there's this whole stress, Dan, of us switching spots, and like I was planning on doing the last spot, and then I think you came to me, right? And you were like, no, let's switch spots.
Yeah.
And at that, I think it was like, okay, I guess I'm performing in 20 minutes instead of 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay. Well, I guess there's no sound check. I guess there's no anything. Like, I guess I'm just going to start playing.
We were looking at the radar and like looking at where the clouds were going, and we're like, man, there's going to be like an hour and a half of no rain. Like, I just remember telling Connor, like, you take it, I'll go in the little inside, like, we'll try. And it didn't rain, right? There was a little drizzle rain. And stuff.
It
split
worked right around us. It just went the clouds literally parted and went around Griozdi that whole evening. But the whole time when I was on stage, the wind was just blowing like crazy, and I was continuously thinking like, oh, one of my lights is gonna blow over, something is gonna fall. Like, I use like bubble wrap as one of the instruments on my table, like as a percussion instrument, and I had to like tape it down with duct tape so that it wasn't blowing away. And I just kept imagining, like, I could barely focus, and just imagining the bubble wrap flying past my head, as I'm sitting there playing handpan.
My beautiful instrument.
Yeah, goodbye. So and it just led to a kind of, it was the most stressed I've ever been, but at the same time, it just sort of produced a state of pure peace and bliss in my head. Like, there was nothing I could do. I just had to play the show. And there was so much tension in me from the physical worrying, because I'm totally a worrier. I worry about everything. And I was so physically like, what's the English word? Like, excited, I guess is the wrong word. Like, tense, that I feel like I just really gave it all. I just played, played my heart out. And I don't know, it was a very memorable experience performing there. So, yeah. Thanks for asking. It's a fun thing to remember. I'm doing this is not a very rapid answer.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's the kind
it's
of
good
rapid
when they're
fire
like
question.
when they're good stories. When they're good stories,
exactly.
Tell them,
you can develop. Okay, that one is gonna be quick. What is your favorite food?
Pad Thai.
Pad Thai. Yeah.
Pad Thai. Yeah.
Who is your current favorite handpan artist?
Oh. I think it's probably a tie between Mano de Lago and Kamea Sound, and I'm so fortunate to be working with Kamea Sound all the time on Future Us. So I don't know, it's really fun to like, I just mixed one of his tracks, and I'm sitting there like rocking out to some awesome music. I'm like, oh, I get to mix this. This is so cool. So nice. It's a pleasure. And Mano de Lago, of course, I'm a big fanboy. I go to all of his shows, see him live like many times, and love everything he's doing. It's a huge inspiration for me. Yeah. I find that I'm always trying not to copy him. Like, I'll do something, and then the next day I'll realize, like, oh, I just spent 2 hours working on a track yesterday that's basically just ripping off Mano de Lago, and I have to like delete it because it's like, okay, it's just too close. It's painful.
What are your hobbies outside of music? No, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. No, I slackline, and I like to do that. I'm in the slackline club here in Cologne. We go and we do highlining as well. So this is like where you go out like over like canyon, or between buildings, and you have a safety, like a kind of like climbing. You have a safety harness, and that stuff, like, that's, I don't know, it's fun, but I also am totally afraid of heights, so it really freaks me out. So I have a hate-love relationship with it, but
you
I
like
guess
to
I call
put
it a hobby.
yourself in weird situation. Your
man.
setup, this slackline over king
Yeah.
and stuff.
How high up are like these canyons?
I think the highest I ever walked was 80 meters high, and that's high enough. I don't know in feet. What is that, like,
It's like 160
250 feet or so? It's times
It's
three,
high
roughly.
enough.
So
It's high enough.
it's high enough
to
where
die.
the trees, full trees, look like bushes, and
Yeah, dude,
you're
what are
looking
you doing?
down, and you're just like, it's just like, it's nauseating, man. It's
Yeah, what
totally
are you thinking,
nauseating.
man? Why are you doing
Well,
this?
it's really safe, actually. It's really quite safe. It's just
Sounds like it.
the joke is always, like, highliners always say the most dangerous part about highlining is driving to the location. Statistically speaking, it is the most dangerous part. People don't really die doing this. You have a backup line, like there's 2 slack lines, and you're tied to both of them. It's really safe. It's just like your like little monkey brain that doesn't understand really what's going on at the bottom of your brainstem is just panicking though the whole time. So it's like it's quite an adrenaline kick.
All right.
Yeah.
Crazy. What is the one song that makes you happy every time you hear it?
Cool. I think off. This is. It's kind of. I'm not sure if it's happy. It's just like I feel the most. I feel when I listen to music. When I listen to music, I did as a teenager, and I think that's like there's something about the music you listen to when you're a teenager. That just like gets emotionally attached in a way. And Death Cab for Cutie. If I listen to that album, Transatlanticism, I'm just like. It's a mixture of melancholy and happiness and sadness, and I don't know. It's really cheesy. It's like a really cheesy album, cheesy lyrics, but I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. For this next one, you have to be very honest. What would you do? Like, if you had $1 million, what would be maybe the first thing you would buy?
I mean, I would probably. There's a lot of tech stuff that I would that I just feel all the time like, I wish I had better microphones or better preamps, all that kind of stuff. And that's the boring answer. It's just like it's of course this. It's like being a musician is like starting a small business, but without any sort of loan from the bank. So it's like you're just trying to like incrementally add to your collection of things that build value, so that you can then create stuff that then pays you back. So getting a head start on that with some money would be great, but honestly I think I just would not be able to keep that much money, and I couldn't do it. I don't know, I'd have to donate a lot, I think, but I don't know what I'd have to think a lot about that. It's a really tough question.
Nice. But yeah, tech gear is pretty safe answer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
well, cool, man. Before we get you out of here, another thing that's huge for you and, in your universe is the Future Rust records.
Yeah.
So you are a part of the team with Lowry. What is your involvement there? Where did all that come from?
Yeah, we got talking after the second compilation came out, and we were just kind of... I think just messaging a lot back and forth and realizing we had a lot in common, and eventually decided it'd be cool to join the Future Rust team. And so he and I basically co-manage Future Rust right now, and we both kind of delegate our tasks depending on what's going on. There's no clear division of labor that's constant, but right now I'm really involved with planning this big compilation album, which you two both know about, the end of the beginning, this Future Rust Volume 4 that we announced this summer. And I don't know when this episode is going to air, but the album is going to come out on October 7th on International Handpan Day. And I'm sitting here looking at this track list in front of me, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy. We got like almost 50 artists from around the world, like basically some of the best out there. And I'm just listening to all this music, like I'm just totally blown away. It's so cool. It's such an honor to put all this music together, and to curate it into an enjoyable listening experience, and really excited to get that out into the world.
And then what's next? What are you hoping to do with the label? Any big projects you're excited about?
After Handpan Day, we're going to take a
break.
Vacation. We've been working so hard for the last year. It's taken up so much time, man. It's so much work to communicate with so many artists and get all the materials and contracts and all this stuff. It's a lot of work. And we're also planning an event for Handpan Day, an online concert event, with 3 different time zones of like concerts, and we just need a vacation.
Yeah.
We need a vacation after this.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. It's super exciting. And thanks for all you do, man. With you and we praised Lowry and he was on here. It's like such a cool void that you guys are filling.
Yeah,
like the first,
thanks you guys.
the first record label. But the last thing, man, we started talking about it a few months ago. Your new music. Where are you at with this? What's the latest? What's next for you?
I'm gonna release a song sometime in the next few weeks. I'm not sure. I have to finish it before I can release it, I guess. But
usually, yeah,
yeah, right. I haven't even picked a day yet. It's getting a little close, but I want to have it on the compilation. So I'm gonna. I think probably on the 6th of October, the day before. And it's a good old studio track, something I haven't done in a long time since I wrote that last EP in 2021. And to be honest, like the process of writing music that's not live, there's no. Like with live music, you go on stage and you play it and then it's over.
Yeah.
There's no, you can't edit it. You can't go back and change that thing. But I have a real problem when there's an endless amount of time that you can just keep editing things and stuff. Yeah. And it drives me a little crazy, man. And I had to take a 2-year break from it because I didn't feel healthy. Basically that EP, I spent like over a year working on 5 songs for they didn't get better, I just like after 2 months, I don't think they got better after that. I just made things worse mostly for the next 8, 9, 10 months. And
this is who you are, how you are working, and you like to be perfectionist and to make sure. It's hard to finish a song, like to make the choice in your heart and head to.
Yeah, dude.
It's
if there's
over.
Like a sentence, if there's a sentence that wraps up studio work, I think it's the one that you just said. Right. I worked on it for a year and it didn't get better.
It didn't get better. Yeah, it just in German there's a word called verschlimmbessern, and it's like better worsing or like worse bettering. Yeah. Like you're basically working on it too much and making it worse, overthinking it, and so I did that for a long time, and it became so painful for me that I just had to stop at some point, and I put them out because I felt like it would have been too emotionally devastating to not put them out, but I didn't even want to because I didn't like them, and I think I had a really emotionally hard time with that, and so this is a big deal for me now, writing the first track that I've made in 2 years, and I had this crazy deadline, so I think that was really helpful, basically saying it has to be done by this day, and that was the only way I was able to do it emotionally. But
nice,
yeah, it's awesome. I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to getting it out there. Hope people like it.
Us too,
yeah. Well, the floor is yours, man. Plug away. Where can people find you? Where can they keep up with you? YouTube, Instagram. Those are my the poisons I have picked. And I don't know. I got some videos of some live stuff, but feel free to check it out. Or go outside. I don't know. It's like it's still summer. Just go outside, man. Like get off the computer. I don't know.
Excellent. That was a very
awesome,
good one.
Man. Yeah, what a plug. But anyway, Connor, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
Thank you for having me.
Great job, dude. Yeah, good to have you on.
Thanks.